Hello students. So hope you have had a good vacation. So last semester, we had covered, towards the end, MOS capacitor and then three-terminal MOS device. And then there was just one more topic that was to be covered. And so I just want you to know that particular topic, which will be very useful in your analog circuits course. So that is basically the derivation of MOSFET current voltage formula, because that you will be using extensively in analog circuits course. I thought a simple derivation is going to help you a big deal in this course, analog circuits course. So let us start. So it is basically telling about how MOSFET can work as a switch and as an amplifier, and then we derive current voltage characteristics of the MOSFET from simple understanding of MOS we have already had. So the first thing is trying to understand what is a switch and what is an amplifier, right? So that is what for MOSFET is mostly used. So let us try to understand them. So here, so what we are interested in is, we want to derive MOSFET IV formula. So in other words, we can call that as MOSFET, say IV characteristics. Okay, so that is our goal. Now, so how the characteristics look? Before how the MOSFET actual characteristics look, let us focus on understanding what a switch is and what an amplifier is. So, and then first we have to differentiate between a two-terminal device and a three-terminal device. A two-terminal rectifier, let us say rectifier you take. I'll write little bigger letters. So ideal versus say real rectifier. Okay. So we know that diode, this PN junction diode, acts as a rectifier. Okay. And what it means to be an ideal is what we will see just shortly. So there is this diode which has ID going through it, and then we have VD as the drop across the diode. Now, if you plot what is an ideal rectifier, how the characteristics should look. So we plot ID versus VD. We have only two terminals, 1 and 2, and we have a voltage drop between these two terminals VD, that is the drop across the diode, and we have current going through the diode. An ideal diode would look like this. So rectifier, right? Ideal rectifier. Rectifier means what? For VD less than 0, you should have 0 current. VD less than 0, you should have 0 current. It's not visible, I guess. Let me use different color. So for VD less than 0, you have all colors are like that. Okay. So this, it's basically blue. I am using blue. I don't know if you can see properly, but I'll proceed. So for voltage less than 0, current should be 0. It should not pass current, the diode. And for VD greater than 0, it should pass any amount of current. So this is what is ideal. Okay. So why are we calling this ideal? Ideal because the power consumption by the diode is 0. Because for VD less than 0, so non-zero VD, ID is 0. Okay. For VD greater than 0, any amount of current should be allowed. So in the sense, the diode should have 0 voltage drop. An ideal diode should have a 0 voltage drop for any amount of current passing through the diode. Okay, it should just allow current in one direction, should not allow current in the other direction. So other direction means current should be 0, and in the forward direction, it should allow any amount of current for 0 voltage drop. So which means again power consumption is 0 in the forward case as well. So reverse bias case, current is 0, voltage is not 0, but power is 0. And forward bias case, current is anything, it can be anything, very large current, it should be passing through, and but voltage drop should be 0. That is what is ideal. Okay, so power consumption is 0 again, but we saw that these are not the realistic characteristics. You cannot have a device exactly like this. So what you have is, you have a very small reverse leakage current, okay, which is close to 0, and then you have a large forward current. So what it means is, diode actually will have certain drop if you pass certain amount of current, and if you increase the current through the diode, then the drop has to be more, the drop has to increase to support that increase in current. So that's what it means. ID is increasing with VD. So if you want to pump higher current through the diode, you can only do that by actually having a larger drop across the diode. So this is what we have seen in the PN junction. So this is the IV characteristics of a PN junction, and PN junction can be used as a rectifier. So ideal versus real. So this is ideal. So these are real characteristics. Now, having seen this, let us see what an ideal switch should be like. So we have a switch like this, say. So this switch is closed or open depending on the voltage that you apply here at the terminals, and we have named them as V source and drain. So we have 3 terminals here as against 2 terminals here in this case of rectifier, because there is a controlling terminal which actually closes or opens the switch. So what we have to see is, how the characteristics look. So here what I am interested in is current through this path, IDS. I am calling IDS because it is from drain to source current. So this is the current, this is what I am interested in. And as a function of what? This voltage, this gate voltage. So let us keep this S as the reference voltage. So VGS, and current through drain source. So this is what we want to see. And below certain voltage, gate voltage, we want this conduction to be off. So basically that is like opening the switch. If certain gate voltage is below a certain value, this should be like open, and if gate voltage is greater than certain value, this should be closed. The switch is closed and there should be current. So ideal means what? So let us call that cutoff voltage as threshold voltage. We have seen that. Okay. So this is the threshold voltage, say, and below the threshold voltage, the switch is open, so current should be 0. And above the threshold voltage, it should supply any amount of current. Okay. So if just VGS is slightly, if greater than 0, if greater than VT, then it should supply any amount of current, because the switch is closed. So it should not be limited by anything else. So you should be able to send any amount of current. So that is how the switch characteristics look like. So note that these may appear same, but they are different because ID and VD, they are across the same terminals. Okay, but here they are different. IDS is between drain and source, and the gate source voltage is the third terminal, not the same terminals. Now the real characteristics look like what? There will be so small leakage current here in this region. Okay, like reverse leakage here, but the negative current, but here it depends on the voltage across the D and S. So there will be some small leakage current close to 0, and then you will have IDS increasing with VGS. Okay, so that is what is realistic. So this is ideal switch. So this is how a real switch will be like. So the current that you can pass through drain and source will be dependent on the gate voltage. Okay. So if you want to pass higher current, you should have a higher voltage. So this is what it looks like. So IDS versus VGS. But if you see here, it doesn't talk about the voltage drop VDS. We know that any device, any real device, you cannot have any amount of current going between two terminals for arbitrary voltage or for zero voltage. So there will be some drop. Unless you actually have some drop, in other words, unless you apply some field, for the carriers to move, there will not be any current. So this IDS will also depend on the drain source voltage. So how should it depend? So ideal versus real. Now we have to so here now I should plot as a function of drain source voltage, and this will be IDS. So how it behaves as a function of DS, ideal versus real, I have to plot. So ideal is what? There should not be any drop, and any amount of current should flow. So VDS should be 0. So ideally there should not be any drop. So power consumption should be 0, right? So drop should be 0. And any amount of current should pass. So ideal characteristics should look like this. So any amount of current, positive direction, any amount of current in the negative direction as well. Okay. So this is what is ideal. Now realistically, you will have unless you apply some bias, thereby a field, you will not get current. So definitely you will have something like this. It will offer some resistance. So you should have some slope in real device. You will have certainly, and this is how it will be. Negative VDS means current will be in this direction. Positive VDS means current will be from top to down. So you have a kind of resistance kind of curve because it will offer some resistance. Ideal switch, it's not ideal switch, real switch. So it will offer some resistance, and this is how the characteristics should look like, IDS versus VDS. Okay, so we clearly see that increase in VDS gives rise to IDS. Increase in VGS gives rise to increase in IDS rather. Okay, if you combine these two, how will it look if I want to plot IDS versus VGS for a different drain source voltage? So it will be like this. So this is for a smaller drain voltage, and this is for some say moderate drain voltage. So I'll have, so this is VDS1, this is VDS2, and this is VDS3. Okay, where here in this figure VDS less than, okay, let me write here, VDS1 less than, VDS2 less than, VDS3. So here with increasing gate bias, I will have increase in drain source current. So say if this is for certain VG, if I decrease VG again here on this IDS versus VDS, if VG is below threshold voltage, then what should I have? Zero current. So I should start some like this, and then zero current for Vg less than Vt, and if Vg greater than Vt, I will have curves like this. Okay, so basically these are for VGS1, VGS2, this is for VGS3, where I have VGS1 less than VGS2 less than VGS3. Okay, so these are how the characteristic look. But there is one more. You know, we have so far talked about IDS versus VGS, IDS versus VDS, but there is something about gate terminal also. We should talk about that as well. So ideal means what? Ideal means power consumption should be 0. So here, if I apply versus so this is say VGS, and if I plot say the gate current called IG, IG is called gate current. Okay, so gate current, and what should it be? I don't want any power consumption. So just because I switched on by applying some voltage at gate, switched this on just because by applying some gate voltage, I don't want any current to enter through G also because I have applied some voltage. So I want IG to be 0. Okay, so this is ideal. So this is ideal. I should have 0 gate current. Okay, for reality also MOSFET you will have 0. So for MOSFET, this is real MOSFET, IG will be 0. Why? Because you have metal oxide semiconductor, right? Metal oxide semiconductor. This is an insulator. So you have an insulator below gate. So current will not flow. DC current will not flow. So that is why you have real MOSFET also, IG is 0. So you don't need to worry about the gate current and the consumption through the gate terminal, power consumption. So now these three are different characteristics. So they are called by different names. So normally if you plot, this is like input and this is like output. So for example, you want to treat that as a box. Okay. So say this is like MOSFET. And this gate is like this, and then source is like this, and then the drain is like this, say. Okay, so this is like input, and for this is like an output of a two-port network where this source terminal is common. So in this two-port network, this gate to source is like input side, drain to source is like output side. All right, so gate current to gate voltage. So these are called input characteristics of any device two-port network, you know, right? So in short, I am writing input characteristics it means. So this is input characteristics. Now what I have here, these are what? IDS versus VDS. So these are called output characteristics. So this one IDS and against VGS. So current through drain source as a function of gate to source voltage. So these are called transfer characteristics. Actually, it is because of this action, which is the governing switching action. Okay. So you actually call this device a transistor because transistor word has come from trans plus transfer plus resistor So together you take trans and then resistor you take and then call it transistor. This is how they coined this word transistor, because you are actually moving the resistivity function, resistance function, okay, from this terminal to this terminal, okay. So that's why it is called transistor. And these are transfer characteristics: IDS versus VGS, output current versus input voltage. All right, and especially coming to this output characteristics, these are not complete. Okay, so I have showed only the switching action, how the characteristics should look for a switch. But MOSFET is used also as amplifier. So how should the characteristics look for MOSFET to act as an amplifier? Let us see that. See, this is the MOSFET we have. Okay, I told, and there will be a battery actually. So there will be a big battery here to power this MOSFET. Okay, there will be a big battery, and this will be leads coming from the gate side, not exactly gate terminal. Okay, but from gate side they will come, and you will have drain side. So will be like this. So this will be gate side, and this will be source side. Okay, so they are not exactly, you will see the connections in your course on analog circuits, because the connection and all will be discussed in analog circuits. How should you bias a MOSFET for amplifier operation? So these are not exactly connected. These terminals are not exactly connected to gate and drain, but there will be some elements, circuit elements, okay, for biasing purpose. But the gist is something like this. So you have input connecting to gate side, output connecting to drain side. Amplification means what? If you apply a small signal here at the gate AC, because the DC entire biasing is done because through this battery, entire DC biasing is done through this battery, and AC signals are what we apply here and then get amplified. Okay, so for example, small signal sinusoidal, small sinusoidal will come, and then it becomes a big sinusoidal. So a small AC signal is passed, and we get at the output a very big sinusoidal. So that is what is amplification. All right, and for it to be an ideal amplifier, this large voltage signal at the drain side should not affect the MOSFET biasing. Okay, so the voltage at the drain side should not actually alter the MOSFET current. Okay, so what does it mean? So if I draw IDS versus VDS, for an amplifier, how should they look? I am drawing only in the first quadrant now, because third quadrant I am not drawing. Here MOSFET is a passive device, so I times V gives power consumed. So either the diagram should be in the first quadrant or the third quadrant for power consumption to be greater than 0. We cannot have in this and in this quadrant, you cannot have I versus V for a passive device, I mean power consuming device. So for an amplifier, so this is IDS versus VDS we want to plot. For an ideal amplifier, what did we say? For a small signal input, there will be a large signal output. So this large variation in voltage at the drain side should not alter the MOSFET biasing. So MOSFET is biased at certain current, and then this amplification takes place. And while amplifying, it should not affect the biasing. Okay, it should not change the MOSFET characteristics. So what should happen is, irrespective of the drain bias, okay, IDS should be constant. Like this IDS will be constant because of what? Because of VG. Okay, so you apply VG greater than VT, and then there will be some current, and that current should not depend on VDS for amplifier operation. So this is, so So this is one VG, VG2, say VG3. So VGS3, VGS2, VGS1. All right. So this is how they should look. Why? Because VGS1 less than VGS2 less than VGS3 we have put here. Okay. So VGS is increasing, so ID is increasing, but it is not changing with VDS. Okay. So this is how the characteristics should look like for an amplifier. This is for ideal So for an ideal amplifier, this is how the characteristics look. So now, if you superpose this and this, because MOSFET acts like a switch, so you have curves like this also, and then you should have curve like this also. Okay, so it should behave like this also to act as a switch. It should behave like this also to act as an amplifier. So if you just combine these two, so what should we get? What do we get? So that's what we will see now. So I will move the screen to the right side portion. Just taking a pause. So superposing both, I will have the output characteristics as IDS versus VDS. Other things don't change, only this output characteristics. I did not present the complete picture in the beginning. So I am drawing only in the first quadrant. So linearly they are increasing, right? Like this. This is the switching action. And then it should be constant. Okay, this is what we saw. Ideally, it should be constant. I mean, ideally means ideal amplifier. So superpose means what MOSFET does is it increases like this, and then it saturates like this. Okay. So these are how the characteristics look like. Okay. So this is how MOSFET characteristics look like. This is VGS1, VGS2, VGS3. VGS1 less than, VGS2 less than, VGS3. So these are the actual output characteristics of the MOSFET. And we want to derive how this equation comes. Okay. IDS versus VDS, we want to derive a formula for this kind of curve, and that comes from physics of the device. So that is what we will see now. So coming back here, so here we have transfer characteristics, IDS versus VGS, for three different drain source voltages. So this input characteristics we call, and this is what transfer characteristics we call, and here we have output characteristics, and these two are what we are going to derive, which is what you will be using in your analog circuits course. So let us see what just a slight recap of what we have seen earlier for MOSCAP, because we have to start from physics to understand, to derive formulas. So this is metal, this is oxide, this is a p-type semiconductor. So this is simply a MOSCAP. So what we saw, so this is gate. So this is called body, we said, All right. So we had for VG three operations of regime we considered: VG less than VFB accumulation, VG VFB to flat band to VT is depletion, and VG greater than VT, it is inversion. So clearly, we saw earlier, for MOSFET to act as switch or an amplifier, we bias definitely for as a switch, we should bias at VG greater than VT. Okay, so only then you will have, so depletion here will be there, MOS cap, and then there will be negative charge here, and this is depletion charge. So this is what is basically inversion region of operation. All right. So now this is MOS cap. What we have seen next is we have considered a three-terminal device. What is that? So this is metal, this is oxide, this is semiconductor P-type, and this is gate again, this is body. But we said that we are going to contact this inversion layer of negative charge electrons on top and bottom. That is when we can collect the current or pump the current. So we have to contact this channel. So that contacting the channel is achieved through an N plus region here on top and then bottom. Okay. All right. So, and we saw that first, to understand the physics, first let us consider only putting one contact. So that we put here at the source side, and we call this a source. Okay, and then we biased this with respect to body by something like positive, because we said this junction should always be reverse biased. Okay, so we had applied a bias called VC. All right, so indicating the bias applied to channel V subscript C, and because of this, what happens? There will be a large reverse bias depletion width here from N plus N and N plus and P. And if you see, without this bias, if you have certain depletion width and an inversion charge, for the same gate voltage, this inversion charge will be pulled by this electrode because this is positive. Okay, and the depletion width increases because this is reverse bias, and inversion charge has come down. And for the same gate body voltage, you should have lesser inversion charge. Okay, so inversion charge, say I show it like disappears. Only depletion is remaining. Inversion charge disappears because you have pulled all the electrons towards this battery VC, because this positive terminal, it will pull down electrons. All right, and this depletion width increases. Now to get inversion, you should apply even higher gate voltage. So to get inversion, what you should do? VG should be greater than VT, and that VT is higher than this VT. So we called this older depletion as VT naught. Okay, so this is VT naught of simply a MOS cap. Okay, or when VC is 0. So that naught indicates either it's just MOS cap in equilibrium, or you can say that VC is 0. That 0 naught indicates VC equal to 0. So this is VG greater than VT, and we saw that this for inversion to achieve to be achieved, VG should be greater than VT, and here we saw that VT is greater than VT naught. Okay, we have seen that V threshold voltage has to increase, only then you can have the same electron concentration as earlier. All right, why this is important is will be understood now. So when I draw MOSFET here, this is MOS. So here I am putting the M here. Here also I have to put, because let us not forget this ever. So this is again the same metal should come here, right? So that we have been maintaining. So we have this N plus region here, and then we have this N plus region here. We have this gate electrode. This is drain. I hope this can be seen. Yeah. So this is source terminal, and this is body. So let us say this is grounded, and this has say Vs, source voltage Vs, and here this has drain volt Vd is the voltage there, and here Vg is the voltage applied at the gate, because we want to derive current for a given certain given voltages. So Vg is the voltage here, Vs is the applied voltage here, Vd is the applied voltage here, and B is 0. So all these are greater than 0. All these voltages are greater than 0. So now what happens is, if you see, I will have Vd greater than Vs. Only then there will be some current, from top to bottom. Okay, Vd should be greater than Vs. That is when there will be higher bias here, lower bias here. There will be current in the channel. So Vd is greater than Vs. Okay, so that is how I bias. So here, if you see Vs and this is body, there will be certain reverse bias. So there is some depletion width. Okay, like this. There will be some depletion width here. And there will be some channel here. Let me show the channel in a different color. So instead of putting dash dash, I will put like a thick region, shaded region. I will put like a shaded region. So Vg is biased such that there is strong inversion. Okay, here in this region, so there is strong channel, large concentration of electrons. Now at this point you have Vd greater than Vs. So this reverse bias is smaller than this reverse bias, or this reverse bias is greater than this. So your depletion width on the top drain side should be large than here towards the source side, and the channel concentration should actually go down. I am showing it by a thinner, line, thinner width. So this is channel. All right. Just let me repeat. Vs is say certain value. It leads to certain reverse bias here and certain channel concentration here, depending on the gate voltage. And gate voltage is same, because whether here you are here, gate is gate. So there is no difference here. But when you are going from here to here, from source to drain, the drain is having a higher potential than source. So this reverse bias is more. So this depletion width will be more, and the channel concentration will be small. So the channel is not uniform. Okay, it is not uniform from source to drain. Okay, so that is why we had to study this concept first. Just apply only one terminal, just one N plus contact rather, and then if you bias it at Vc, what will be the threshold voltage? Okay, so why do we need threshold voltage? Only based on that we find inversion charge concentration, because our inversion charge concentration is what? Qi we have derived earlier is equal to minus Cox times Vg minus Vt. So this is what we have seen earlier. And my inversion charge only gives rise to current. How much? Depending on the amount of charge, I will have the drain source current. And depending on threshold voltage and given gate voltage, I will have inversion charge. So that is the reason I need to know Vt or the inversion charge as a function of y. Okay. So now let us derive expression directly now. So let me take some axis here. So let me call this as x-axis. So at the interface, along the interface rather, this is say y direction. Okay, so I will just show here, this is X and this is Y. And the dimensions are like this. So this is basically the length of the channel. It is called L. Okay, length of the channel. And the device is into the board, right? So it has a width. So this is the device width, W. So W is device width. L is channel length. Okay, L is channel length, W is device width. Now let us derive equation. So I want drain to source current. Okay, so first and only electrons are there. So the assumption is that we have only electron current flow, whole current is ignored. Okay, the total drain to source current is electron current and whole current is ignored. And it is majorly by drift, because you have a very high concentration of electrons and you have applied bias. So there is a field here, very high concentration of carriers. So there is a large drift component and diffusion component is neglected. So only drift component is considered. Now let us write current. So J is what now? Jn, you know, is minus QnV. This V is, Vd is drift velocity. Minus QnVd is the drift velocity. And if you see, we are using x-axis, y-axis, and if Jn is positive, it means current is from bottom to top. Whereas IDS positive means we are getting current from ID drain to source. So here what we are plotting, ID versus VDS, is the drain to source current. So it is from top to bottom. So there will be some sign confusion if I keep carrying signs forward. Just to simplify your process, I will just use only modulus, say. Okay, just to avoid confusion. I can retain the signs and then finally tell the physical meaning of it. But let us not complicate. It's not complicated thing, but just want to simplify stuff. So Jn equal to minus QnVd. I just take modulus. And what is current? IDS, I drain to source is, I will, because this is positive quantity, drain to source, I know that drain to source only current will flow. Drain is at a higher bias. So mod Jn times, okay, what it is? Jn is a function of y. Okay, then what is changing? Thickness is changing. Okay, thickness, Jn is current density in the channel, and the channel thickness is decreasing. It is small here, it is large here, thickness is more here. So what you should do is, you take a small cut line here. Say like this, or somewhere in the middle. Okay, so in this region, I just show you exaggerated view. So like this we have here. So sorry. So this is the, say from oxide I will draw. So this is oxide, this is semiconductor. So I have depletion like this, and I have inversion like this. The small, this is a small dy element. So this is a small dy element. Okay, small dy element. And this has width, say in this direction, say, so W. Okay, so this is W. And this thickness is, the channel thickness is T. Okay, T is channel thickness. Now J is what? J is current density, and you multiply with T and then W, because J is in what direction? So J is in this direction. This is what is Jn. Okay, so perpendicular to Jn, you have to take area and then multiply to Jn to get IDS. So Jn is in this direction. So you multiply the thickness of the inversion layer and the width to get current. So Jn times area, bottom area is what we are interested in. So that is T times W, because Jn is in this direction. Okay. So if I plot, yeah, I understood, I think. So Jn times Tw. So now let us see what it is. So I'll bring this here. So Q n mod Vd, because it depends on the direction, this vector here, Q n V mod Vd, and then Tw. And Vd is Qn, mu n is positive, so mod electric field times Tw, because Vd is mu n e. Okay, because of course for electrons it is minus mu n e, because electrons move opposite to the field direction. So Vd is minus mu n e here. So Vd mu n mod e, and electric field is what? Rate of change of potential with distance. So here I will put it as d psi s by dy Tw. Remember, psi s is the surface potential or the semiconductor potential drop. We call it either surface potential or the drop across semiconductor. That is what is psi s, and that as a function of y, because psi s is changing. Psi s is drop across semiconductor, or in other words we call it as surface potential, and that potential is changing as a function of y, and the derivative of that gives you electric field. So the electric field is d psi s by dy. All right. Now let us put what is d psi s. You know that surface potential in case of mass cap is 2 phi f, where phi f is Fermi potential, which is dependent on only doping. It doesn't depend on directions of y or x or whatever. That is for mass cap, or when Vc is 0, channel potential is 0, channel voltage is 0. But when we apply Vc, we have derived that the surface potential changes, and that is 2 phi f plus Vc in strong inversion. We are of course deriving MOSFET IV in strong inversion. Only then channel is there. Only when current you will have. So you will have psi s as 2 phi f plus Vc. So that is the channel channel potential, and you take derivative of this 2 psi s by d psi s by dy equal to phi f is dependent on only doping, not on directions. So this term derivative is 0. So I will have dVc by dy. Vc is what? Channel potential, channel bias. Okay, so that is dVc of y, because you apply Vs here, you apply Vd here, and how that combination of Vd and Vs is affecting the bias of each small segment. Okay, it is like saying the small area, the small segment dy is having a bias of channel bias of Vcy. That is what it means. Okay, so this particular channel is biased at Vcy. Remember that biasing is different from the surface potential I am talking about. Okay, because here also the surface potential will be 2 phi f plus Vs towards the source side. Okay, it will be 2 phi f plus Vs, and here it will be 2 phi f plus Vd. So here it will be 2 phi f plus Vc of y. Okay, so that's what it is. Now remove that d psi s, because anyway dVc by dy is positive, because as you increase y from 0 to L, Vec is changing from Vs to Vd, it is increasing, so it is a positive quantity. I will remove the modulus. So I will write IDS equal to Qn mu n dVc by dy into Tw. Okay. Now let us see here. IDS equal to, I will combine this TW and T and N, Qn. Okay. So I will write it as Qn T times Qn T. If I take mu n W will be there. So let us say mu n W and then dVc by dy. And Qnt is what? Okay. N is concentration of inversion charge. And if you multiply that N with T, you will get inversion charge concentration per unit area, unit surface area of the mass from this side, unit area from looking from gate side. Because N times T gives you concentration of electrons per unit area, okay, unit gate area. So Q multiply by Q. So what does it give? So that is well known. That is equal to mu n times Qnt gives you mod Qi. Okay, because that is what is inversion charge per centimeter square. We have seen that Qi, Qd, Q depletion charge, Q inversion charge, all this we have seen in per centimeter square, per unit area. So N is in per centimeter cube and T is in centimeter. So Qi is in per centimeter square because you multiplied Nt with Q, which is in coulombs. So this is inversion charge concentration per unit area times W dVc by dy. I take dy to the left hand side, IDS dy equal to mu n W mod Qi is Cox times Vg minus Vt. I don't have space. I don't want to mess up this derivation after this because of space constraint. Let me just erase the left portion and then come back to this. So I erased this portion. So let us see, take that equation from there. Say IDS into dy equal to mu n W mod Qi dVc. Okay. So here IDS dy equal to mu n W mod Qi is, we have seen earlier, it is Cox times Vg minus Vt times dVc. Okay. So here dy is there, dVc is there. We will integrate between over the channel length. So dy is y is changing from 0 to L, and here mu n is, I mean, I have to integrate like this, and mu n can also change as a function of MOSFET length. Okay, as a function of length, mu n can change, but you know, because of the field, because mu depends on field, so as a function of length, mu can change. But let us assume that mu n is constant, you know, or some average value we can use. So I can take that out of integral. Say if I put mu n Cox, so mu n varies, but I want to take some average value and then put it outside. W I will take it out, Cox I will take it out. Okay, so I will just put this equation as here, and Vc changes from Vs to Vd. Okay, so here I have mu n Cox W outside. Okay, so this is what I have, and now I have to integrate, and which right hand side I will know only if Vt is known. So what is Vt? We have seen earlier. Vt is VFD or Vt naught. Vt naught, because we have seen earlier that Vt is Vt naught plus, we have seen, you can see this expression in our previous class. So it will be like Vt naught is what? Like a mass cap. Okay, so ideal. Then as a function of bias, if Vc is there, what is it? It will be plus Vc plus gamma times root over 2 phi f plus Vc minus root over 2 phi f. All right. So this is the expression for Vt we have seen earlier. So this is what we have derived in the last class. So here what I do is, this one will give me complicated integration. It will not give too complicated. It will give you 3 by 2, okay, which is normally not used in back of the envelope calculations in analog circuits. So normally this term is kind of ignored because we are only having the difference of this. So 2 phi f is also a reasonably good quantity. Vc is say small. Then this difference is small compared to the bias itself, and then on top of that Vt naught is there. So if you compare the whole expression, I mean whole value, this particular gamma times this, difference of the square roots will be adding little value compared to total Vt naught plus Vc. So just to make our job slightly easier, what I do is I neglect this term. Okay, this term is much less than say Vt naught plus Vc. Okay, I assume that just to get a simple formula. If that is also included, it is not that we cannot integrate. We can integrate analytically, but it gives some extra terms which we want to avoid. So IDS 0 to L will give me L equal to mu n Cox W integral Vg minus Vt. So Vg minus Vt naught minus Vc times dVc Vs to Vd. Okay, so what I do is, further simplicity, that is because that is how you use in circuit calculations. So what I do is I will put Vs equal to 0. Okay, just we can still integrate here. There's nothing wrong. So, but say Vs is 0, because I just want to derive what is normally used in circuits. IDS L equal, I will take L to the right hand side. So IDS equal to mu n Cox W by L. Okay, and then this Vgs minus Vt naught into Vc will be there. So that will give me Vg minus Vt naught into Vc. So that will, because Vg minus Vt naught constant, so dVc gives me Vc, Vd minus 0. Okay, because Vs is assumed to be 0. And then here Vc square by 2 I will have integration. So I will have minus Vd square by 2. So this is the formula that is normally used in circuits. Okay, so maybe 10 minutes more I will finish discussion. So Vg minus Vt naught times Vd minus Vd square by 2. So how this function looks, and are we are we getting what we have discussed earlier for the mu 1 Cox W by L times VGS minus VT naught times VD minus VD square by 2. So this you take and then see plot. Let us see how it looks as a function of VDS. So IDS as a function of VDS. So here source is assumed to be 0, Vs is assumed to be 0. So I'll have Vd equal to VDS. Okay. So here this VDS is nothing but simply Vd. And now what is this? This is like a parabola equation. And the sign of square term is minus. So it is a downward parabola. Okay, because coefficient of this is negative, of the quadratic term is negative. So it is a downward parabola. And at Vd equal to 0, it should be 0. So it is giving 0. So we are good, physically correct. Vd is 0, Id is 0. And Vd is increasing. And for a very small VDS, square term can be neglected compared to linear term. Okay, because Vd is very small means square term can be neglected compared to Vd term. So it will increase linearly, and then it starts deviating from the linear portion because of this Vd square by 2 term. Okay, so it starts increasing linearly like this, and then it starts bending down and reaches some peak because it's a downward parabola, and then it goes down like this. But will it be realistic? So will it be like this? So it is not so. So what is the assumption here? Why this equation is going down like this? Because it is not captured for this region. So what is this region? Which decides this particular peak point? So let us take derivative of this and then see what the peak point is. Because we have to see whether the formula that we have derived, can we plot it for all conditions, or we have derived this formula only in certain conditions. So we should plot that only in those conditions. So VGS minus VT naught VD minus VD square by 2. So how do you find peak point? So take derivative of this expression and then equate it to 0. So derivative of VD is 1. Derivative of VD square is 2VD. 2 will cancel. So I will get this peak position as, okay, this is nothing but VGS minus VT naught. You see that? Because this VD is not there. VD square by 2 gives you derivative is VD. So equate to 0. So VGS minus VT naught minus VD equal to 0. So VD is equal to VGS minus VT naught. What does it mean? And what happens if I increase VDS beyond VGS minus VT naught and this equation is not valid anymore? Okay. Why is that so? VDS greater than VGS minus VT naught implies what? For that, let us see the diagram. What happens? So here, all the characteristics are derived assuming that the channel is present throughout. Okay, which means what? Gate to drain at this point, your gate voltage is more than threshold voltage. Okay, only then all this derivation holds good. If gate voltage is less than threshold voltage, then all this derivation here, threshold voltage at the top point, this is not directly applicable. All right. So what you have here is VG should be greater than the threshold voltage at this drain terminal, for which the formula is derived. Okay. So the formula is derived such that VD at the drain side, the VG is greater than threshold voltage at the drain side. And you know that the threshold voltage at the drain, if you neglect this term, so VT at drain is what? Is equal to VT naught
plus roughly it is approximately equal to, you know, Vt naught, Vt naught plus Vd. So, and the derivation is done for what? Derivation is done for Vg greater than Vt at drain. So that is Vg greater than Vt at drain is Vt naught plus Vd. So that implies Vd is less than Vg minus Vt naught. Okay. Only for this the formula is valid. So Vd less than Vgs minus Vt naught. Only for this the formula is valid. So you should not use this formula for Vd greater than Vgs minus Vt naught. So then what happens after this? What happens after this Vgs minus Vt naught? The current will saturate. Okay, because no matter what you do, so here if you see, if Vd is increased such that here the channel, you know, disappears, then that is when the current will saturate. It will not increase with Vd. It will be cut off from Vd. What it means is, if I draw, so if I draw physically the picture here, I am drawing only the semiconductor portion. So drain side threshold voltage is reached. So you have depletion like this. You have, and this is exaggerated. So you have this kind of picture where, so this is the drain side, this is the source side. So what happens is the channel disappears because you have increased Vd such that the threshold voltage here has increased, and for the same gate voltage there exists no more a channel, and that condition is called pinch off. Okay, so pinch, the channel is, you know, almost absent, so you are, you know, pinching off. So the channel is absent, so that is called pinch off. So that is called channel pinch off. This occurs when for Vd greater than Vgs minus Vt naught. For Vd greater than Vg minus Vt naught, there is channel pinch off. Okay, what does it mean? The channel has become separate from D, all right, from drain. So even if you increase the drain potential beyond, that increase in voltage will not going to transfer the field, you know, in the same manner. So it will, so that field will drop in a very small region here. Okay, that entire field, that increase in electric field because of increase in voltage, that will not affect the channel because the channel is almost disconnected from the drain. When the channel is disconnected from the drain, you know, so the channel voltage will not affect the channel condition, the drain voltage will not affect the channel condition anymore. So the current will be constant. With increase in drain bias, it will not change anymore. So, and this kind of saturation is called saturation of the current is called saturation region. All right, and this is called equal to called Vd sat, saturation voltage, because the voltage, the drain voltage at which saturation occurs, starts, is called saturation voltage Vd sat. Okay, so Vgs minus Vt, so this can be Vg. Okay, yeah, so Vg minus Vt naught is called saturation voltage Vd sat. That is because beyond that point, ID saturates. All right. So just one more question can come. Okay, if the channel is disconnected from drain, how can we have current? Okay, because we said channel should be there from source till drain. That is when current will flow. But as if now there is no more a channel. It is like here, it is like a switch off, because there is no channel. But how there is a current? That can be understood in some advanced course. It is not too difficult, but it is not required to be, discussed at this first level course. But it is like we can see some other effects, and that will be kind of next level. So this is what is saturation. If you remember, so this saturation voltage, what we are, let us complete. Now this is for a given voltage, right? Now if I change, if I plot as a function of ID versus VG, how will I get ID? Okay, let me just complete this thing. So what is, this is VD sat, VG minus VT naught. After saturation voltage, this current is called ID sat. And what is ID sat? Because we know that this equation is valid, this is valid for VG minus VT naught less than VD, or VD, greater than VD. So this is, so now the saturation current, what is the saturation current? So you have to substitute VGS, for VD equal to VGS minus, VT naught. So that is when saturation is occurring. So VD equal to VD sat, you have to substitute, and you will get ID sat. So what is ID sat? Let us write here. So ID sat is equal to IDS for at VD equal to VG minus VT naught. Okay, or I can say VD sat, IDS at VD sat, saturation voltage, which is equal to VG minus VT naught. So what is that ID sat now? Mu n Cox W by L, mu n Cox W by L. If you substitute VG minus VT naught here, VG minus VT naught here, you will get VG minus VT naught whole square by 2. VG minus VT naught whole square by 2. So this is the saturation current. All right. So let me go to the next thing and finish it off in 5 minutes. So these are the characteristics we have obtained. So just want to write again, because this is what we'll be using. IDS equal to mu n Cox W by L into VG minus VT naught times VD minus VD square by 2. This is for VD less than VG minus VT naught, and equal to ID sat for VD greater than VG minus VT naught. That's all. So this is how the final expression for current looks. And here, as you know, this linear portion is like, switching action. So you bias the transistor in this region to operate it like a switch, and you bias the transistor in this region to operate it as an amplifier. So this portion is coming from this formula, okay, and you see that the dependence on Vg, okay, and ID sat, this is the dependent, ID sat formula, where ID sat is equal to mu n Cox W by L times so this is mu Vd sat, ID sat, okay. So if you see, this is onset of saturation for VGS1, and that is the saturation current, and the saturation current at VGS2 is more, okay. So that is this here, and here maybe this is kind of exaggeration. It might actually, because the saturation voltage also will increase, because saturation voltage is Vg minus Vt naught. So here VGS1, this is the saturation voltage. VGS2, this is the saturation voltage. VGS3, the saturation voltage should be here somewhere. So this one should be slightly adjusted. So it can be like this, okay. So this is the saturation voltage for this, and you have different saturation currents as per Vg. And as I explained, this is basically the switching region. This is where you bias for operating it as a switch, and this is where you bias to operate it as an amplifier. All right, with this we are done with discussing MOSFET IV. There is something called PMOS, okay. So NMOS is what is called, N-channel MOSFET. That is, electrons are the carriers, the channel, electrons form the channel, and there is something called PMOS, which is what a MOSFET that is almost like this in structure, but exact opposite polarities. So here the holes form the channel, and together they are called, CMOS, complementary MOS. So this C is for complementary. Why? Because what an NMOS does, a PMOS cannot do. What a PMOS does, an NMOS cannot do, and together they achieve great flexibility and gives you a lot of options for circuit design, and that's why it's called CMOS circuit design, because most of the circuit design happens using both, NMOS as well as PMOS, okay, because what NMOS does, PMOS cannot do. What PMOS does, NMOS cannot do. What does it mean? Both are MOSFETs only. I don't mean saying if NMOS can act as switch or amplifier, PMOS cannot act. I'm not saying that. At the same time, they do slightly different operations based on their biasing, okay. So it all depends on how they are biased. So that you will see in circuits. But what is PMOS? I'll just draw the structure so that you will know it is an exact opposite, and the formula and all are just replicated. No need to discuss this more. So there is a metal and there is oxide, and the semiconductor is now N type. All this while we had P type. So now it becomes N type. And then if you apply negative voltage here, it becomes positive charge. Okay, if you apply positive voltage, there should be negative charge here. So it's exactly the other way. Increase in voltage here gives you accumulation. Okay, accumulation. So positive voltage gives you accumulation. Negative voltage gives you depletion and inversion. Because if you put this negative, positive charge should come here. Positive charge can come from depletion, and then an inversion layer of holes. So this forms the channel. So here that is what is complementary. Increasing voltage, you will get channel and current here, whereas here decreasing the voltage, you will get channel and current. Okay, that's what is like exact opposite. So here, how are they connected now? So this is again, here you have to connect the channel using P plus contacts. So here you have to use P plus. And then you have these things, G and body will be there, and the top one is called source, the bottom contact is called drain. Okay, and here current will be from source to drain. Okay, current direction will be from source to drain because source will be at higher potential. Source means what? Source of holes. Source of holes means holes are coming from the source and entering drain. So current also is from source to drain. Whereas in NMOS, source of electrons means, so that is bottom side, electrons are moving from bottom to top, source to drain. So current direction is from drain to source. So here current direction is same as hole flow. So current is from source to drain, and gate should be less than source bias. Okay, so threshold voltage will be decided based on the 5 ms VA flat band voltage, and then the depletion the drop across the semiconductor region, etc. All right. So here we have exactly negative polarities. So if you have source at 0, then gate should be negative, drain should be negative. So this can be 0. This can be 0 because this and this always source and body are tied together. So drain is negative, gate will be negative, and source is at 0, body is at 0, and this PMOS will operate. Okay, so they are all relative. So gate and drain should be at a lower potential than source. So this is what is PMOS. So formulas and all will be very similar, just that here VG you should replace with mod VGS because VGS is negative, right? You will replace it with mod VGS. VT naught you will replace with mod VT. VD you replace with mod VD, mod VDS, if it is reference to source. So these formulas remain same and the characteristics also look the same. Okay, just that instead of mu n here you will have mu p, hole mobility. All right. So with this we will stop. So we'll be glad to answer any questions you have later on. You can always come back to me. Doesn't matter, if the course is over, doesn't mean that you need not, discuss. You can always come back to me with any questions you have in this related to device physics and these formulas. Okay, with this I will stop.